warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
So I asked God to show me, and He gave me both an open vision, and then when I went to sleep, He gave me a pretty harsh dream. I got to see the start of WW3. It was a ruse, beginning of it. North Korea did attack South Korea, and I did see it. It was like God took me up, and I saw it, and EMP blast, and there was no electricity, and then Seoul is gone. Most of the American troops stationed at the DMZ were annihilated with a nuclear weapon. South Korean's Navy was able to get a distance out, and they launched weapons, nuclear weapons, that the Americans had given them many years ago. And Pyongyang and a couple other places, military targets were hit. And that's what brought China in. And China waited like a couple days. The radiation was pretty bad. There was thousands of Koreans dead, Americans dead. Of course, the Americans were angry, so they also launched tactical nuclear strikes on North Korean military bases. Well, basically, North Korea it's already desolate, but there was probably a few people from my dream, it seemed like, that were living underground in North Korea, but it was bad. But it was a start of something so much worse. China used it as a front while it was going on. Their Navy and their Air Force and transportation was making its way through Hawaii and basically taking the islands of Hawaii. Some of their troops went south, and they attacked Australia and New Zealand with the help of the Indonesians, who seemed to help them. America, in my dream that I had last night, which was pretty vivid. I don't know, about 30 American cities, and almost all the West Coast major cities were hit with either small or major nuclear kiloton. Mushroom clouds just were seen up and down the coast. A couple of them had set off earthquakes, big earthquakes. Cascadia Subduction Zone, the larger one in California. Parts of California were going into the ocean, but because it was on fire, what people were left were just helpless. The Chinese invaded the West Coast. The Russians invaded North and the East Coast, which the Russians, with their submarines, had tactically attacked. The Iranians, if you've been reading, the Iranians came with the Chinese in the invasion. Mexicans invaded from the south. They came with some Cubans and some Venezuelan, and also Chinese troops too. It was a multinational effort, a coalition, a confederacy against the United States. It was hard for me to sleep. things that I saw in my dream just were disgusting. Lots of dead bodies, the smell of death. I could smell death. I don't know if you've had a chance to or if you've heard about it, but it's pretty horrible. Lots of dead people. Those that were alive, they were people that were still on fire. And these bullets that the United States government has been hoarding, they were left in specific areas. It was a collaborated effort between the Obama administration and his czars and people and his revolutionaries. They helped set it up so when our country was attacked, they were able to have unlimited ammunition, and we're talking ammunition to make sure that anything that they shot would die. That's what the hollow point bullets were for. The Americans helped the intruders find Americans, gun owners, so forth. Families, entire families were being taken out and shot. In my dream, I was disgusted. I was crying. Probably the worst part that just turned my stomach was the Iranian troops. They would go into a home. These were on the West Coast, and some of them were even in the interior, such as Wyoming and so forth. And they would go into a home after they've attacked the house. They would take the family and they would literally YouTube cutting the heads off of the entire family and sending it back, and it was being broadcast over most major networks, Arabic networks. It was disgusting. Obama was hiding, his people were hiding, and God let me see that Obama was just laughing. He is pure evil. I don't know if he's the Antichrist, but he's evil, and he has deals with the Russians and the Chinese. Everything he does is just for PR. And they were living under the ground, letting Americans die. Horrible deaths, burning. Some incinerated, most incinerated. Ones that weren't were either full of radiation sickness, burns, or still burning. Like I said, they were coming and just shooting the people. If you were sick, the troops would just come and kill you. In my dream, I remember hearing that they thought maybe about 114 million Americans had maybe made it through, but they weren't too sure. A lot of them were hiding out, and of course, that's when the militias were trying to protect people, but it was just really hard. The Chinese and the Russians, Spetsnaz, and the one thing that really did scare me was seeing the Spetsnaz paratroopers coming out of planes being dropped. It was weird. It was like they were perfect in a row. They just drop. They were like, it's hard to explain, but it was like perfect. Just, and they were just falling, and there was troops already on the ground. There were troops on the ground helping them out. I mean, like they had been here before. There were whole cities were taken out. Other cities were being hurt. There was poisonings of the water. Electricity was pretty much cut off. Just scorched earth. It was hard to explain. Now, I can't say that I personally was there to experience, but I got to see it. And trust me, it is not something you want to see. There were reports that in Australia, in my in my dream, I remember hearing that the Chinese were raping the women and the New Zealand women, and killing the men. The Chinese were literally I mean, just pure evil. So were the Russians. Americans must have had some resistance, but I didn't see any of that. I just saw that there wasn't many Americans. What if 315 plus Americans, 114 million make it? The war, in my dream, I saw India and Pakistan had gone after each other, and there wasn't much left there. Iran decided, with the help of Egypt and all the countries near there, Jordan and stuff, to attack Israel. And Israel had seen what had happened to the United States, and they basically knew, I mean, just tactical nukes, battlefield nukes. They destroyed. Well, Egypt almost barely didn't exist. Syria, it was a mess. Just horrible death. I mean, when they say that 1/3 of the earth, yeah, I would say billions of people died. Like I said, the smell of death was everywhere. The Israelis, were winning, and nobody. And this is the thing that really, in my dream, and I'm just going to say this: America was so bad off. But many countries would not let our Navy, Marines, or anybody else that was foreign-based stay in their country. Our Navy couldn't port anywhere. The Europeans wouldn't let us do it. The Brits were already in knee-deep and have been bombed so bad. France, there was just no place. And the only ones to allow the United States to let their Navy port. Not even Puerto Rico was allowing, in their U.S. territory, our ships to port there. They were disallowing it. And so, as many as we could, I saw that Israelis wouldn't let American ports. They were putting Navy ships in, and Americans. Basically, I'm not saying they gave their sovereignty over to the Israelis, but there really wasn't a whole lot of America, and what was of America was underground. The Navy pretty much had turned, from what I gathered, the Navy, Marines, Army, a majority of them had turned against the particular administration, and the Israelis took them in, of course, and which was good, but it was it truly was. God is my witness. It was horrible. And now that I've seen a glimpse of what is soon to happen, I tell you right now, get to know Jesus Christ, your personal Savior. I don't know whether the rapture is going to happen now, or we're going to see all this, or we're going to somehow be protected through it. We may. But be rest assured there is a rapture. Be rest assured that Jesus is coming again.
Filing papers today to create a presidential exploratory committee. For the next several weeks, I'm going to talk with people from around the country.